Hello everyone and welcome back. I hope everyone's having a wonderful day. So we are back here with letter number 14. This feels a little bit thicker than the last one. So let's hope that there's some good news in here, and let's hope that Lord Windermere intercepted Adeline and Lord Portington in the last letter, like that I'm gonna say he kidnapped her. There's no way she went on her own free will with that man. But they were supposed to get eloped, and let's hope the Lord Windermere got there in time. Let's open this up and let's see if he did. Oh, we are not going to get this letter open easily. There we go. All right. Put that to the side. We have some pretty paper. So here's the letter. This is some nice pretty paper. It says, "Dear Grandmama," if you guys are curious. It says, "Dear Grandmama," and I bet this is Adeline. Yep. So this is going to be from Adeline. So she's going to be writing to her grandmother. We're going to have about almost 3 pages here. Let's look at our extras and see what we got here. We have a coin, it looks like. Not sure. Looks like an old dime or something, some kind of old currency. It says the lucky 6pence. Something old. Oh no, something old, something new, something borrowed, something blue. And a 6pence for her shoe. Wait, what? If we've all heard at least one rendition of the old wedding rhyme, but did we know where, when, and why it originated? According to English tradition, a 6pence was worn in the bride's left shoe at her wedding to bring good fortune to her marriage. While this tradition did not originate until the Victorian era, therefore it is unlikely Adeline would have worn a 6pence in her shoe on her wedding day. The coin is much older. The 6pence was first minted and introduced in 1551 by King Edward VI, I believe. It was worth 1/40th of a pound and was also referred to as a tanner or a 6-penny bit. I hope I read that right. All 6pence issued prior to 1920 were made entirely of silver. The 1816 coin pictured on the opposite side of this card is a Regency era 6pence and is worth between 3 and 95 pounds today. I think I'm reading that right. I don't entirely understand pounds and stuff, but hopefully you get it. So that's what it would have looked like. That's a neat tradition. I guess that's actually one I haven't heard about, putting the 6pence in your shoe. That's one I haven't heard. Guys, I'm telling you, she's gotten married. Come on. What? Okay, so we have make your own radical. Radical comes from the French word raticle in the Regency area. Radical was a woman's small handbag, originally knitted into typically having a drawstring. They were often decorated with embroidery, beading, and or feminine notions. Using the pattern below, the included embroidery pattern and the instructions on the back of the insert, create your own reticle to carry your belongings in when you attend your next ball or other more modern outings. I'm gonna try to get this in here so you guys can see this. It says what you will need. You'll need 1/4 a yard of each different fabric, 1 for lining, 2 matching threads, 3 scissors, 4 optional embroidery floss. Use embroidery pattern for color suggestions, 5 needles and sewing machine, 6 2 lengths of ribbon or cord cut to 1/5 feet each, and 7 is a bobbin or large safety pin, 8 optional beads, tassels, or other decorative notions to decorate the reticle with. So I'm assuming, I'm going to try to turn it this way so you guys can see, that you'll take your fabric and fold it under, and then you'll just cut and then fold the fabric back out, kind of like this, where you would cut it, and then when you folded it out, you would have a nice kind of rectangular or square kind of bag, and then you may decorate it any way that you want. It looks like it kind of has a pattern here, or however you want. I'm gonna assume, I'm not sure, that maybe this is what it's supposed to look like. Now that's cute. I'm not gonna lie, that does look a little cute, and I love the little ribbon that it's using there. Let's see what this is. This looks like, I'm hoping, if this is what I'm hoping, this is gonna be the pattern. Okay. So Sweet Williams and Magnolia's embroidery pattern. So this is gonna be the pattern here, and this is something, I have another embroidery pattern that we got, I believe it was in the Wild West series, and I wanted to use it, and I still have it actually sitting over here on my sewing thing. I just haven't figured out what to use it for, but it is so beautiful, and like this is what it looks like. And I've never done embroidery before, and it is something that I want to get into and I want to do. Like especially these flowers here, you know, and I was trying to think of something like, you know, if you guys have any suggestions, like I was thinking like, you know, blue jeans, like the bottom of a bell bottom, or like some kind of you know, dress, maybe like there's this little statement piece at like the bottom of a dress or something, or you know, or like they said, like a bag. I guess a bag would be like the kind of easiest kind of thing to start with, or a pillow. I've seen people do pillows, but if you have any suggestions though. But this is the pattern, and then it has all the colors here for the, I guess, the different threads that you're going to need. It says one of the most common pastimes for women in the Regency England was needlework. We hope you enjoy Adeline's embroidery pattern. If needlework isn't your forte, we hope you enjoy the coloring page on the opposite side of the pattern. Oh, okay. So I guess if you didn't want to do that, you could color it. But I would want to save mine because I would initially want to use it for something. Up here it says fill with satin stitch. It says a French knot, long and short stitch, a leaf stitch, fill with a satin stitch, and then a rose wheel stitch. So I'm sure if there's anybody out there that embroiders or you do needlework, I'm sure that makes sense to you. Those do not make sense to me, but they sound lovely. I love the way that they sound, and I would, like I said, would love to get into something like this. So I'm gonna set that to the side, and hopefully we can get into this, and let's just find out what's going on here, and let's pray that she did not get married. Hey, maybe we could be on the positive side, and maybe she married Lord Windermere instead. Hey, you know, it could happen, you know, maybe. I'm just being hopeful. All right, let's get into this. December 23rd, 1817. Dear Grandmama, I'm quite in shock as I write to you. So shocked, in fact, I barely know what to write at all. Only that, unlike in my last letter to you, I have somehow find myself a married woman, and not to the man I intended. I am inexplicably the wife of a man so very, so excessively well. Perhaps it is best if I start at the beginning. I had a small gathering in Bath 3 days ago. I went against all the hard-canned better judgment I've learned these past 2 years and agreed to marry Lord Alexander Portington. Only you would rightly guess my reasons for doing so. Lord Portington, of course, insisted upon an elopement because he knew Phineas would never have given his permission, and also because of some pressing financial engagements Lord Portington was most anxious to address. They were so pressing, in fact, that he instructed me to secure £50 in my rodicle for the journey to Gretna Green, just in case he was called upon to satisfy a few of the more urgent debts before leaving Bath. He seemed under the impression that very real harm might come to his person if he couldn't pay them. We took the night stagecoach from Bath, heading for Scotland. After 3 days of non-stop travel, thank the Lord, Portington was not in too big of a hurry to stop at any taverns or inns along the way. We arrived at Gretna Green by dawn on the 4th day. It had been significant time for me to thoroughly absorb him and to contemplate what life with such a man might be like. I assure you, I was finding it quite difficult to reconcile myself to it. In truth, were it not for Lord Windermere's much more favorable proposal last October, I might have more casually resigned myself to such a life. As it was, I was exercising every ounce of restraint to not burst from the carriage and run for the hills, no matter the consequences. As it turned out, when we reached Gretna Green, such drastic actions on my part proved entirely and somewhat miraculously unnecessary. You see, we had just pulled up to the blacksmith cottage, and as Lord Portington was making to exit the stagecoach, he was greeted by the point of a sword. As you might imagine, I hoped with all my heart the sword didn't belong to Finn. He was an excellent shot with a pistol or a rifle, and even better swordsman. But we both know he is hopeless at fencing. The last thing I wanted was to have to explain to Juliana that her brand new husband had been killed in a duel. When Portington was told to exit the carriage, however, it was not Finn's voice I heard. In fact, the voice I did hear caused me to quickly follow his lordship out of the carriage to ensure my ears hadn't deceived me. They hadn't, Grandmama. To my utter shock and mortification, it was not Finn who blocked our path, but Lord Windermere. He was somewhat disheveled and appeared to not have shaved very recently. However, his unkemptness only lent more credence to the dangerous gleam in his steady gaze. In truth, he looked more to me like the heroic Prince Arthur in that moment than he ever had while in costume at our ball. Keeping Portington at sword point, his grace circled around to where I stood and placed himself between Lord Portington and myself. He asked if I was all right. When I gathered my senses enough to assure him I was, he calmly replaced his sword, took out his pistol, pointed it at Portington, and told him he had better resume his seat in the stagecoach if he wished to live another day. Portington apparently knew Lord Windermere meant it, because without saying a word, the horrid man re-entered the stagecoach and rode away. His Grace and I stood by and watched until he was well beyond the border of Gretna Green. Lord Windermere then turned to me, but to my deep relief, I did not see judgment, disgust, or even hurt in his eyes. All I saw was compassion and resolve. He took me gently by the shoulders, and as though we were addressing one of his soldiers, said to me, "My dear, you have a difficult choice before you if you hope to avoid scandal. You must choose quickly, however, for time is of the essence." Then he laid my choices before me. Thusly, I could neither return to Finn and Juliana in Bath with my freedom intact, and rely on a very thin hope that Portington wouldn't exercise his revenge at being failed by spreading vicious rumors about me. I can retain my respectability with certainty by binding myself to the Duke and becoming Lady Windermere after all. I didn't think him serious at first, Grandmama, especially after having refused his Grace a little over a month ago, and without even offering an explanation. But when I begged his pardon, Lord Windermere assured me he was in rehearse, that Finn had written to him and given him full permission to act on his behalf, and that, should the Duke arrive at Gretna Green to find me not unwed, Finn had bid Lord Windermere to do all it was in his power for me, making me Lady Windermere. The Duke assured me was within his power to do. I asked him if he was truly willing to sacrifice his own freedom to secure such a wretched creature as myself from ruin. Lord Windermere responded by gently leading me to his carriage and to my great surprise, handing me the loveliest bouquet of not just magnolias, but of sweet williams as well, all tied together with a blue ribbon and a sixpence tucked under the bow for luck. I took the gesture to mean he had given it all the thought at least. After spending 3 days in the company of Lord Porrington, who is decidedly not an honorable man, Lord Windermere's selfish gesture nearly brought tears to my eyes. I need not tell you I accepted his offer, and while utterly mortified by the circumstances which has brought it about, my heart was filled with more gratitude than I can here express. I am not such a simpleton as to believe Porterton would not take his revenge upon me somehow in due course. After apologizing for his less than appropriate appearance for the occasion of our wedding, the Duke quickly remedied the state of his corvette and put on his great coat. Then, after tucking one of the magnolia buds from my bouquet into his buttonhole, threaded my arm through his, and together we walked toward the blacksmith's cottage. My heart was bursting with every step, Grandmama. I couldn't help glancing over at him to ensure he was him and not Lord Porrington at my side. Thankfully, his Grace was far too busy speaking with Mrs. Murray, the blacksmith's wife, who greeted us at the door, to notice. After learning our intentions, Miss Murray bade us come in and warm by the fire while she roused her husband. Being used to visitors such as ourselves arriving at all hours, it didn't take long to wake him or to make things ready. Before the sun was even fully over the horizon, Blacksmith Murray married Lord Windermere and myself over the envelope, and I became Lady Windermere, never to be Miss Adeline Arden again. How very differently my wedding day turned out compared to the one Juliana and I daydreamed about during our summer of Magnolia Grove. After the wedding, his Grace, William, since he now insisted it was time I began using his Christian name, asked if any harm had befallen me on my journey and whether Lord Porrington had taken any liberties he needed to avenge now that he had a right to as my husband. I told him that other than the exhaustion of traveling without rest for 3 days, I was well enough. Satisfied, he secured us a room in the local inn. Only one. I nearly protested the arrangement, having been so recently married, but he begged my pardon and told me he would not presume to intrude upon my privacy, but for the fact that he could not take the risk of leaving me unprotected if Lord Porrington happened to return to Gretna Green and exact some revenge upon us both. So after taking some refreshments, we retired to our suite. True to his word, Liam was a perfect gentleman in every way, granting me both privacy and the bed, while he positioned himself on the floor near the fire for a few hours of much-needed rest. As for me, Grandmama, I couldn't sleep a wink despite my exhaustion. All I could do was lie awake and gaze at my new husband, a husband far more wonderful than the one I had come to Scotland marry, for more wonderful than the one I deserved. I could no longer stop the tears from falling then. I wept so quietly as a mouse, for I wouldn't forgive myself if William awoke and mistook my emotion for anything other than the deepest gratitude I have ever felt in my entire life. During the days traveling with Porrington, I had spent the journey resigning myself to life with a man I knew I could never love or respect. Even more than that, I had spent far more energy struggling to vanquish any glimmering hope of the kind of union I had allowed myself to dream of when I spent those happy months in William's company. Yet somehow I was now in a sort of fairy dream where wishes were granted, even the most undeserving. But I knew such wonder was not meant to last for me. Indeed, very soon after the shock of it all had worn off, my gratitude was replaced by immense remorse. Only then did I realize what I had done to him. As excellent as a new husband's character is, he doesn't know the full extent of his sacrifice on my behalf. How can he when he doesn't know the truth that the woman he has so magnanimously bound himself to for life is not what she seems? How shall I ever be able to tell him? He will most assuredly despise me if I do, but oh, how can I keep such a secret from such a man? He'd never wish to see me again if he knew why I ran away to marry Porterton, especially when he holds me in such high regard. Try as I might, I can't seem to make amends for the folly of my youth, Grandmama. Will the consequences never cease to haunt me? Oh, how I wish I had listened to you then. Yours most affectionately, Adelaide Magnolia. So I always let you guys know down here, it just says to learn more about the chivalry and the dueling practices of the Regency era, you can go to flowerletters.com. Well, she married Lord Windermere. Yes, I have to just say yes. But like, I don't understand, like, what does this mean though? She says she is not what she seems and she doesn't know how to tell him. What? I want to know this mystery. Why do they keep torturing me? They keep dragging this out, guys. Like, I'm telling you. But hey, she married Lord Windermere, like, and not Porterton. I am just so grateful for that. I was on edge waiting. I couldn't wait to get into that letter and read it. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope that kind of, helped with some of the mystery that is going on, but we still don't know what she did though. We don't know why she was going to do it. We don't know who she is, why she feels this way by herself, and that she doesn't want to tell him. Hopefully we're going to find this out in a later letter. We still have quite a few letters to go. So there's 24 letters in the series. This was letter 14, so we still got 15 through 24 left. So hopefully we're going to figure out and answer some questions and mysteries in those. So if you guys have any questions about it, leave it in the comments. If you guys want to discuss it or whatever, perfectly fine, go ahead. But I will see you guys back here in letter number 15 to be continued. Bye, guys.